Welcome to Indie Insights. My name is Dirk Norris. I'm the president of the New Mexico Film Foundation. And Alex and Lauren have taken a step outside for a few minutes for whatever people take a step outside for. So I'm talking with Navajo filmmaker Nick Nelson, who is currently a student at UNM and has been working on a film, a pilot, and a series called The End Begins. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you very much, Dirk.
So this program shows old movies, and we're kind of tying that in with current filmmakers and influences that may exist. And I just realized that some of the younger filmmakers that we have here may not have been exposed to some of the older films that might be showing. But that doesn't mean you haven't seen. We were talking earlier, and John Wayne films had kind of influenced you in a way, and some of the World War II and Vietnam War films. So talk a little bit about that. How has that influence been? And in particular, that influence of you being a Navajo, a Native American filmmaker.
Well, I think it's just the fact that there's a lot of misinterpretations. And just coming from the reservation near Shiprock, or in Shiprock, I was pretty much limited to what we watch out there. And there's a lot of John Wayne films I watched with my grandparents. And when you're young, you know, it's entertainment. But as you grow older, you understand there's something off there, and you start noticing that all the natives there have blue eyes, and there's a lot of makeup running around and doing the usual war cries.
All right.
And just seeing that, in the same time, growing up on World War II films and Vietnam films, and also looking at the books that were based on it, I started to see there's a different side to this war, and there's a different side to every story. And that's when I started to decide, well, that's when I decided, well, I think it'd be good to show the more native side that I was told through oral history. And that's the way we share stories through generations, oral history. Right. And
so those influences, at one point did you say, hey, I've got my own stories to tell, I've got to do it my way?
I'd say that happened in the early 90s. Because during that time I always asked my dad how they do these movies, you know, growing up in Aliens and Terminator. I always wondered how they do certain stuff, and he would say, you know, just keep on watching. And he started breaking it down to maybe they could just use cardboard boxes as walls, and he had electronics, so he would show me how to build my own play sets. And I started thinking about, okay, well, it's not a full world they were making, it was actually segments only what the camera saw. And from there, just the ideas grew off of that. I wanted to start exploring more of that, about how I can create my own little visuals at home.
So you're in the film program at UNM now, in the IFDM program.
Yeah.
And that's the Independent Film and Digital Media, or no, it's Independent, you say it. I've got it all wrong.
It's an interdisciplinary film and digital media.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a film program, but you're also getting information and courses from different departments throughout the university.
Yes, and so, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We also go through the Fine Arts Department, which is mostly what I'm concentrated in. There's also the Media Arts Department, and there's parts of computer science and business as well.
Is film theory and film appreciation part of that program?
Yes, and that's taught through the Fine Arts and also the Media Arts Department.
So what kind of movies do they show for, or clips for like the appreciation part?
Well, they show a lot of Citizen Kane, North by Northwest. Right. A lot of Buster Keaton films, just to understand body language on film, the importance, the difference between theater and film. A lot of Hitchcock. Not just Psycho, more of his older films. Right. And somewhat more modern films like Control with a K, which is a very underrated film, but it's extraordinary, and also a lot of Coen brother films. Right. And, you know, stuff like that.
Before color came along, of course, black and white, and I'm a fan of black and white films. There's nothing like, if you've never seen like The Wizard of Oz, which the first part is black and white, if you haven't seen that on a big screen, that's just like really incredible, right?
That's, okay, so secretly, as I was growing up, that was my favorite, that still is my favorite film of all time.
And why has that been a secret?
Just because being around a bunch of friends who are all into action movies, sports movies, whatever, and especially around family, that was my little gem. You know, it was my secret gem. That's something I was figured, okay, everybody's out of the house. They're not going to bug me. They're not going to say it's too long. They're not going to say why there's so much singing, because I just loved everything about it. And I think also the fact that it's just well done. It's well scripted. They casted it perfectly, even though they recasted the Tin Man. And one of the Phantom events, I actually watched a special edition of The Wizard of Oz on the big screen, and they gave a little behind the scenes before the film started.
Oh,
and I was very excited about that.
Terrific.
And I also got a vintage poster of it too.
Wow, wonderful. That's great. So we've got to go, but before we do, The End Begins. Do you have a website that people can go to and find out more about it?
Yeah, it's coming soon, theendbeginsseries.com.
Okay. Just real quickly, there's a trailer that you did in Diné.
Yes, and Diné, which is the Navajo language, Diné Bazad.
So that'll be great.
It is, and it really gives a whole lot of story and pretty much the backstory to the entire series if you can understand it. But there's also an English subtitle trailer as well.
Right. Great. You've been watching Indie Insights. I'm your host, Dirk Norris. I think Lauren and Alex are back now, so appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.